We try to fix each problem by itself. And that's not the world that we live in. I wouldn't call it implementing because these are all discovery as opposed to like execution. Um, but I think that one of the bigger challenges is we try to fix each problem by itself. And that's not the world that we live in. We acknowledge that things are so complex and the whole VUCA environment, volatile, uncertain, et cetera. But somehow we don't apply that insight to our problem solving. We think, oh, let me go solve this problem, and then let me go solve this problem, and somehow what? All the white space nobody talks about? And those problem solving efforts are not sustainable because nobody built a connective tissue. And yes, I use metaphors because, again, accessibility. So I have a 6-year-old niece who we're working with right now on the game Operation and trying to lift out those little, heart and lungs and whatever. One is learning your body, great. But the metaphor really is that's how we treat problems in the workspace. As if they're very, very discrete things that can be put up and picked down. But we don't have the connective tissue. We don't know how to connect the problem back to the structure, to skeletal, circulatory, whatever you call it. Organization is a human body. And one of the big things for me is I think of trust as the key driver. It's the blood. Organizations don't survive when blood flow is not circulating properly. And in this case, the metaphor of blood flow is trust. That's why we bake trust into all of the cultural cartography and our consulting work. Because when people trust each other, everything else comes alive. And trust takes time, it takes space, and it takes effort. The biggest successes I've ever had, I think, are when you have a leader who really gets that, who sees the value of cultivating trust. And when that happens, everything else just falls into place so much easier. But that trust work, it has to happen intentionally and explicitly. And it has to come from the leadership. For all the cultural cartography work that we do, we can come in and we can make a difference, but we're not the ones who live there. It's their organization. They have to own it. They have to feel like it's theirs. And that happens most effectively when you have senior leaders who put their credibility on the line, who focus on changing their behavior, who talk about it and who live it. And when you do that, pretty magical things happen.